Good evening and welcome to the October 17th, 2023 Gilderland Central School District Board of Education meeting. Would you all please silence your cell phones and stand for the pledge? Pledge of allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so first on the agenda tonight, we have public input for budget development. And we can just move on then to,
I don't know if we have anyone here.
for specifically for budget development. Okay, so then we'll go on to, I think we have a high school student rep here tonight. So if you could just come to the mic, please, and share your name.
Hi, I'm Parth Sarecha. I'm a sophomore at Gilderland High School. It's such an honor to be here.
My name's Levin Panous. I'm a junior, and both of us are the Board of Education representatives. So in the past few meetings for student government, we have been discussing certain topics. The one thing we discussed was homeroom activities. We wanted to implement more homeroom activities, such as giving a bag of Skittles to a teacher, and then the teacher could pass these Skittles out to the children. And the students, depending on what color they got, they would answer a specific question, and this would allow them to learn more about their fellow classmates, as well as their fellow classmates learn more about them. The second thing we discussed in the past meetings was principal forums. So our first principal forum will be on November 16th in the LGI room, and this gives students a chance to voice their opinions on subjects regarding the school. The third thing we discussed was decorating doors for Halloween. So clubs and sports teams will be able to decorate doors, and this helps promote their clubs and sports teams, as well as students being more exposed to what the different activities around the school are. Finally, we talked about the upcoming December Spirit Week, and we were thinking about sending out a Google form to all the students so that we could get their invoice on what they want to do for the Spirit Week. And after we get that, we will implement their ideas into the upcoming Spirit Week. That's all we have from the student government, and I would like to pass it on to Parth.
Thank you, Levin. So that's all from the student government. More on the school and student side. We're coming out of about a week or two from homecoming weekend, including the spirit rally, the game, and the dance. And needless to say, it was nothing short of a very, very big success. Out of 10 people that we interviewed, 10 students, almost every single one gave at least an 8 out of 10 in ratings for the general feel and general success rate of homecoming. Some things that we heard that were good were that the lights actually went out this year, and the DJs were really, really good. They kind of interacted with the students. They made it feel like a better environment, and they also played some pretty good music. Some things that people thought that could make it a better experience in the future would be more seats at the game. So I myself was there at the homecoming game, and it was really, really packed in the student section. I remember that if you went out for concessions like halfway through the game, they wouldn't let you back in just because of how packed it was. And it was really hard to find a seat. People were doubling up. People were just walking around because there was really nowhere to sit inside. So a couple more bleachers wouldn't hurt at all in the next coming future. Also, some more glow sticks would be nice, some people said, at the dance, because there were only a couple to go around, and not even just the really nice foam ones that people said. They said that the ones that you bend and kind of use the plastic ones, those would be pretty nice too. Finally, people said that decorations inside the actual homecoming dance, like the actual place itself, would be nice, because right now the lights kind of just were like half on the walls and half on the floor. And it kind of took away from the experience, so some people said that that would be a little better for the future. Thank you so much.
Great, thank you both so much for sharing. Next, we have public comment. We have, I think, 3. Do you want to do that? Okay, we have 3 in-person public comment, and I think we have 2 written public comments. So I'll start with the in-person. First, we have Lauren Schreiber-Romeo. If you could go up to the mic, share your name, and there's a 3-minute timer. Thank you, Linda.
School Board, my name is Lauren Schreiber-Romeo. I'm a graduating member of the class of 1999 from Gilderland High School. My children are Jewish students attending your high school and at FMS. It was so important for me to come back and have them be students in this district, though after the recent events of this past week, I am questioning my decision. I'm here tonight speaking not only on their behalf, and mine, but on behalf of our entire Jewish community and family. I'm addressing you on your failure as a district to respond correctly to us stated in your original email as a conflict in the Middle East. Why didn't you say exactly what it was? Why couldn't you say it was an atrocious terror attack committed by Hamas on the people of Israel and Jewish people? You downplayed its significance by saying, even though it didn't happen here. Across the world was your exact term, to be exact. I want to explain to you this affected every Jewish person and was extremely traumatic to us all and continues to be. When one Jew is affected, we all are. Universal approach was the term you used with me on the phone, Dr. Wiles, when I asked you why you said what you said in your email. This is not a time for you to be universal. This is not a time for moral equivocation or wishy-washy political stands. This is not political. The terror attack needed clear labeling and condemnation on the district's behalf. This is a time for empathy and sympathy for your Jewish students. This is a time to make your Jewish students feel safe and heard in your buildings, with your staff, with their peers, with the administration. 2,000 plus Jews dead, kidnapped. The pictures are in your face on your desk. Babies, teenagers, mothers, fathers, burned, raped, tortured, shot in cold blood. If you have not seen the images I have that I cannot get out of my head when I close my eyes, I implore you to do so it resonates in you how important this is. God forbid this happens here. Don't be naive that it won't. I expect better from you all. I shouldn't even have to be standing up here asking you for this. You claim to be a school against hate, a school who has made it abundantly clear you are activists for BLM, LGBTQ. You need to be just as strong for your Jewish students. Dr. Wiles, you said you would call me back. I'm still waiting. It is your obligation as this district's leader to respond to such matters. It's also come to light in recent days that the high school news, which oddly enough wasn't uploaded yet, mentioned more Palestinians dying than Israelis and talk of land ownership. Are your students educated in the matter, or are they now pushing propaganda without you educating them? I leave you with this thought. I want you to take a long, hard look at me. I'm a Holocaust survivor's granddaughter, a whole family wiped out by monsters just like Hamas. I will fight in my grandparents' names for this never ever to happen again. If you remain silent, you are complicit in these matters. This district needs a strong lesson on anti-Semitism. I implore you to incorporate this in your curriculum as soon as possible. I will end this with saying this again. This is not a war of politics and land. This was a terror attack, just like 9/11 was here. I am sad for all the innocent lives lost from this tragedy, Israeli and Palestinian, at the hands of Hamas, and that is the truth.
Thank you, Ms. Schreiber Romeo. Next, we have Hazel Regan.
Hi, my name is Hazel Regan. I'm a senior at Guilderland High School and a co-president of Guilderland's chapter of Triumph Music Honor Society. I was also one of the student speakers at the March Board of Education meeting when we addressed the lack of instructional spaces in the music department at the high school and how it's negatively affected the music students' learning and safety. We know that the Guilderland Music Parents and Friends Association had a letter read at the last Board of Ed meeting, but we wanted to provide you a different perspective on the issue, which is that of the students. We created a petition acknowledging how the music department's lack of instructional space has negatively affected us and expressing our support for an expansion on the space. Signing the petition was entirely voluntary, and we made it available for all of the students in the music department and the theater department, which is those who are directly affected by the issue. And through this process, we obtained almost 300 student signatures. We hope that these signatures will help you understand the extent of the issue, knowing that I come to you representing not just one student in the music and theater departments, but as hundreds. On a more individual note, I want to remind you that this is not an extracurricular matter. We are not coming to you as a club or any other sort of organization asking for anything extra. We're coming to you as an entire academic branch of the high school that is being expected to give students the musical education they deserve and is not given the resources to do so. Again, I hope that our petition will help provide you the information that you need to give our issue your attention, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Regan. Is this a petition? Thank you. Next, we have Elizabeth Floyd Mayer.
Hello. I'm writing about the proposed change to the dress code that would allow girls to wear sports bras during sports practice to avoid overheating. I'm in favor of changing the policy to allow female athletes to assure their own safety and enhance their performance by preventing overheating. At the last meeting, one board member noted that a young athlete who wears modesty clothing told her that she would feel more out of place if her teammates were wearing only sports bras. Her feeling is understandable, but as a public school, we can't make decisions about the dress code based on the traditions of any religion. Another student also commented to that same board member that having some of the female athletes wearing sports bras would make her feel body shamed. I can also understand this student's concern, but in high school there are myriad ways that a student can feel body shamed. Why regulate just this one, which is a health, not a fashion issue? If this change were made, it would be optional. No one would be required to practice in only a sports bra. At the last board meeting, it was mentioned that male administrators already feel uncomfortable about having to enforce the dress code, which states that clothing needs to be safe and appropriate, and says that potential violations include wearing exposed underwear in school. Understandably, administrators don't want to have to try to figure out if a girl's top is a crop top or a sports bra. I would suggest that administrators should probably have better things to do. I'd rather see them spend their time enforcing other rules that actually are also health issues, such as the prohibition against vaping, which apparently is common in the bathrooms at the high school, and which leaves potentially dangerous chemicals in the air and on surfaces for others to absorb. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mayer. I have a few written public comments. Linda, are there any more in person?
I will double check. but
Okay.
I think there's one more.
Is there one more public? Oh, Julianne, yep. If you could just state your name at the mic, thanks.
Hi, everyone. My name is Julianne Scanlon. I'm a coach for the district. I also want to address the same issue just addressed. I just would like to also advocate for the boys' team. It is very hot, and I ask these boys to go out and run 60 minutes, which sometimes translate to 9 miles for some of my top athletes. And when it's really hot, it's inappropriate for them to be wearing cotton t-shirts. It's not appropriate for temperature disposition. When you look at the people who are training at the level that these boys are training at, they are taking their shirts off and they are running to be cool. We do everything in our power to make sure these athletes are safe. We emphasize hydration. We give them breaks as necessary. We are diligent about looking at the standards, the heat indexes, and making sure that we don't put any athletes in any unsafe conditions. I continually ask my athletes to make sure they are abiding by all school district rules. I'm continually asking them to respect all board policies, all school rules at all times. We provide supervision to make sure that those rules are followed, but I would ask that at the coach's discretion, that we can say to the boys, you can take your shirts off to run because it's too hot today to be running in a cotton shirt. I know there's been an analogy made to the singlets that we wear on race day. Those are racing singlets that cost like $50 to $70 a piece. That's not really what I would like to be able to say to my families. Hey, we do run in the hot temperatures. These are the kind of singlets you need to be able to be running. They're very expensive. So that's my request. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Scanlon. We have one public comment written that's on the agenda, and then I think one or two more. Two more? Okay. The first one reads, Dear Guilderland Board of Education, as temperatures around the globe are rising, I'm writing to ask that the school district re-examine policies to prevent and treat heat-related illnesses in our athletes, both in training and in competition. I'm the parent of 2 runners, so my comments will be specific to running, but can be generalized to other sports. Exertional heat-related illness, heat stroke, can be fatal and must be treated rapidly, cooling the child. Our cross-country runners are particularly vulnerable to heat-related illness. Female cross-country runners are at double the risk of any high school athlete. Unfortunately, they're also at most risk for delayed diagnosis and treatment. Runners are not visible to coaches or spectators during long stretches of their races and training runs. Even if a runner is observed collapsing, it is unlikely that ice is close at hand. The standard of care is submersion in a cooling tub, something I don't think that's ever available to runners. Guilderland recently competed in an invitational in Rochester. A top-ranked runner from another school collapsed while during the race. Fortunately, there were adults around him to help, but it took several minutes for someone to get a bag of ice to start cooling him and much longer for the overwhelmed paramedics to get to him. The heat index on that day was well below the maximum allowed by Guilderland. The current maximum safe heat index for competition is too high. This needs to be reevaluated by the school with input from medical professionals. A separate lower heat index standard should be considered when students cannot be directly observed and treated during their events. On hot days, it should be mandated that cooling treatments are available throughout the course and that coaches and parents are trained to recognize and respond to health-related illnesses or heat-related illnesses. When running, athletes can improve body cooling by maximizing the amount of exposed skin. This increases evaporation of sweat and decrease body temperature. Regardless of gender, students should be permitted to remove their shirts while training on hot days. This is a safety issue. Requiring an overheated athlete to keep a sweaty cotton shirt on their body is cruel. Our children should have the autonomy to do whatever they need to be most comfortable and safe in extreme temperatures. Thank you for your consideration. Catherine Smedas, MD. The next public comment comes from Amelia Tramontano, and they write, Dear Guilderland School Board, we are writing in reference to tonight's scheduled vote on whether to permit female athletes to wear sports bras during practice. We support the right of student athletes to wear clothing that they feel comfortable in, including a sports bra while training, practicing. It's important to ask ourselves whose comfort are we prioritizing by permitting or prohibiting students to wear sports bras while training. When schools tell students, specifically those who identify as women and girls, to dress a certain way so they don't distract others, they prioritize one gender's education over another, shame the students, sexualize their bodies, and reinforce heteronormativity and the gender binary, and perpetuate the assumption that boys cannot control themselves. And then she posted a link. This is an example of structural violence. Structural violence is more on how a power dynamic or a social norm negatively affects a plural group of people that share a common trait. Are we inspiring girls to achieve their highest potential by imposing this sort of structural violence on them? What does it say if boys are allowed to take their shirts off when they're overheated from strenuous exercise, but girls are not extended the same option to cool off? This unequal treatment is even more damaging when the cycle of structural violence is reinforced by higher-ranking women onto those of lower status. The district's mission is, quote, to inspire all students to be active, lifelong learners able to achieve their highest potential in a demanding and ever-changing global community, unquote. School leadership has a responsibility to enforce equal opportunities for all. A ban on sports bras would undermine social emotional learning and diversity and equity in inclusion initiatives. We can learn a lot from our peers in the Albany School District. They state, the Albany High School administration acknowledges that dress codes have historically and disproportionately targeted female-identified students, students of color, and other marginalized groups. Our intent is to break this harmful pattern while nurturing a productive learning environment that will prepare students for outside K-12 education. We urge you to vote in support of student athletes and allow students who identify as women and girls to wear sports bras during practice. Sincerely, Judy S., Tim Sullivan, Marilyn Anderson, Amelia Tramontano, Brian Tramontano, Chelsea Dorner, Candace Hasuchi, and Jesse Carroll. And the last public comment is from Beth Martinez. She writes to the Guilderland School Board, my name is Beth Martinez. I'm a member of the Guilderland School District DEI Committee. I'm a parent of students at Westmere Elementary and am the local ADL Education Director. I am writing in regards to the decision being made tonight about female athletes and sports bras at practice. From a young age, we teach our children to have bodily autonomy and to advocate for what they are comfortable and uncomfortable with. I see this decision as an extension of continuing to encourage autonomy for female athletes over their bodies. It should not be up to a small group to decide whether someone can or cannot wear a piece of clothing. This is same The same is true for the male athletes who may decide to remove their shirts during practice if it becomes too hot. By policing female student athletes, you are sexualizing their bodies and taking away their bodily autonomy. I read in the newspaper comments from some board members about individuals with religious needs being made to feel singled out. As someone who has worked in the capacity of a teacher for 10 years and is an educator for civil rights organization for an additional 10, I can confidently say that students who need accommodations for religious purposes would not begrudge others the right to decide for their own bodies. To do so would be counterintuitive, as they say themselves need accommodations in other ways. Regarding body shaming, I think this is an unnecessary worry. Student athletes can make the decision whether they want to engage in removing their shirts. Those who are not comfortable can opt out. I say this as a plus-size woman. I personally may or may not feel comfortable removing my shirt, but it would be not right for me to decide this for others. I would strongly encourage the board to review the school dress codes policy overall to address concerns and ensure full compliance with constitutional standards. There are several other local school districts who have recently made these changes as well, such as Albany City School District. In the future, I think it would be very important to incorporate feedback from the district DEI committee on decisions such as this relate to diversity and equity. I hope that the district DEI staff were asked for their input in this decision as well. If not, I would encourage you to table this decision unless you have consulted with them. Here are some important resources the organization I work for has created in regards to dress codes that may be of assistance. And then she listed some links there to help guide the conversation. Thank you for your time and consideration. It is my great hope that the board makes the right decision, one which celebrates and acknowledges a person's right to autonomy over their body. Sincerely, Beth Martinez. Linda, are there any other public comments?
No.
Okay. Thank you. So the discussion regarding the vote for the dress code is, I think, further down the agenda. And we thank again the public commenters and all the emails that we've been written, not necessarily just public comment, about all of the music space considerations, and also the feedback that some of the families had about the district's letter to the families about Israel. Blanca, do you have a comment?
I was just wondering if you wanted to move up the vote because we're losing a board member early.
So let's see what's next. So we have the consent items. So after the consent items, oh, I'm sorry, we have school board recognition. Okay. So maybe after that and then consent, we can move up the vote.
Sure.
Before we lose, so we don't end up with a 4-4 vote, just in case? Okay. So I'll turn this over to the school board recognition week and turn this over to Dr. Wiles.
Thank you for that. This is a board reluctant to be recognized during our very important week. So the week of October 16th through the 20th, 2023 has been designated as School Board Recognition Week in New York State. And this is a time to promote awareness and understanding of the important work performed by our local school boards. Public schools form the bedrock of our communities and our country. Democracy thrives with educated citizens capable of critical thinking and civil discourse. And it's our local school boards who ultimately are responsible for our student success. Our school board members here in Guilderland devote countless hours to making sure our students are helping every child learn at a high level. And it's their job to make the tough decisions every month and spend many hours studying education issues and regulations in order to provide the best kind of accountability our community stakeholders expect. So we very much appreciate the hard work that our board members do, and we have a very special tradition here in Guilderland to recognize our board members. We have, for a number of years now, provided a lasting legacy of their work in each of our school libraries. So our tradition is for each of our 7 buildings to select a library to be placed in the school library in the name of that board member. And I know our principals and our library media specialists have gone to special care to pick just the right book for each and every one of our board members. So I would like to invite our principals who are in the back of the room to come forward and present your books to your respective board members.
Thank you so much. Oh, thank you so much. This is adorable. Oh, thank you so much. Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. Thank you so much.
Hey. This is a good one.
Definitely. Thanks so much.
Help you find balance. Thank you, Alan. I love that.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh my God, this is adorable.
Oh, I've got to sign it and give it back to you right now. It would just take me 10 minutes to get this back to Dr.
So the way this works, board members, you can hang on to your books for a little bit and read them if you'd like. I think there's a place to sign them, but these are library books, so you have to return them. And for years, generations of our students will see your name and your work and all the good things that you have done for Guilderland. So let's give our board members a lovely round of applause.
It's a great tradition.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Wiles, and to all the principals, and to the GTA for providing dinner to us earlier for School Board Recognition Week. Next on the agenda, we have the consent items. This includes the minutes of the October 3rd, 2023 meeting, CSE and CPSE recommendations, personnel action, and textbooks 1 and 2, and the financials 1 through 5. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Nate, second. Rebecca, any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Passes 9-0.
And can I jump in here just
Sure.
to congratulate Lauren Anderson, who in that single action is now our new instructional administrator for World Language Cultures and ENL. She's got a huge business card. Congratulations, Lauren, and welcome. We can't wait for you to start. Literally, we can't wait for you to start.
Tomorrow.
Great, thank you. So we are going to amend the agenda. Do you need a motion to make it? Okay, so we'll just skip down to under action items. We'll go to board president action. Do you all want to pull out the dress code policy separately to vote on it? Away from the others? Okay. So first we need a motion to accept the student dress code. Rebecca?
Wait, we need to break it out? Yeah, we have,
Oh,
wait, I mean, we don't usually discuss it after we do the
oh,
motion,
well,
or
we
no?
need a motion first and then we can
Yeah.
discuss it.
Oh, okay.
So just the dress code, which is letter D. Rebecca and second Nate? Okay. Any questions or comments about this? Okay, Blanca?
So when I first brought it to the policy committee and then also at the last policy committee meeting, I did bring up that boys not wearing shirts for practice was part of the initial concern and request. And so I bring that up again, especially referencing Coach Scanlon, also, okay, Coach Scanlon, public comments and the letter that we received from Dr. Smittis. I think that if we're going to do this, then we need to also allow the male athletes to go without a shirt. And so that's my comment.
Okay, any other questions or comments?
I will say this in regards to, we purposely tried to draft the all policies, quite frankly, fairly vaguely, so that they can be interpreted appropriately. And I think we've added the concern, I hear the concern about the students, the male students not wearing shirts. That certainly, I think, could fall under the second paragraph of that new provision. If a coach wanted a specific policy for their players or for their team, that would have to be brought to the building administration for consideration. I would say that would probably be an instance there where we could handle that.
It reads as, I don't remember what it says, Rebecca.
What second
but you had
paragraph are you
referenced
talking
it.
about?
It's the specific activity dress codes is what was the,
Down at the bottom.
yeah, on the second page.
We should be more explicit. That we should add that. Specific-
Any coaching or
The
staff.
boys can go without a shirt if the coach deems it necessary.
I don't think it should be coach-specific if we're gonna,
I didn't say coach.
yeah, well, I think, well, that's what Nate was implying, that
Yes.
a coach would have to request that exception to the policy.
My
have to read it.
my
I have to-
read of it, I didn't read it as that. It just, to me, I wasn't assuming that it was included in my read. So I'm agreeing
Well, it says
with
any-
Blanca. I guess it just wasn't obvious to me. In my read of it, it would have read that was not included as part of it.
That's
Well, it says any coach, teacher, or staff who seeks to establish an activity with a specific dress code must share in advance writing with building administration for review. So I think that's specific enough. I mean, I don't really want to bring this back to policy again. This is already pushed back. Personally, I think this is ridiculous that we have to vote on this. I think this is just my feeling, that students should be allowed to wear what they want when they're working out, as long as their coaches are approving of that. And this specific activity dress code addition, I think covers all of that. I mean, we brought this back to policy, I think, 2 or 3 times.
I brought it back once. I brought it up several times to get it this far. And I did bring up in policy that there's a part that says clothing, covering of clothing or something. There's a piece there that sort of refutes the possibility that it's confusing. And I think we need to be clear that boys can go without their shirts.
You gotta let us know what's confusing, because this has become
Is
the
this
issue.
news to you? Because you were there. We had a
Well,
conversation
no,
about that at the
I
policy meeting.
understand that, but you want us to consider revisions. Let us know what is confusing, because as it is written, the students are while students are actively participating in such activities, they may wear activity or weather-specific attire. That's the policy. Then it gives examples, such as sports bras for outdoor sports practices, swimsuits for swimming, business attire for certain clubs, costume for plays, protective eyewear and closed-toe shoes for certain CPE workshops, et cetera, et cetera.
So let's add or remove a t-shirt if the heat index is high, or when running, or when actively perspiring, something to that effect.
The heat index issue, because then we're crossing into some other issues that are not part of the policy.
I would also like to address this, being is the only person, unfortunately, I was sick at the last one. I think right now, the way it reads is why we have seen comments on Facebook about not sexualizing our students, and why we've received letters mostly from people about the girls being objectified, because at this point, I totally understand where you're coming from, where it says that coaches can write in. I agree with that. I'm not against like the girls wearing the sports bras, the boys taking off their shirts. But just reading this as is, if it's not a big deal, then why mention sports bras at all? Because it already says that the coaches could write in. Because right now, the way it's perceived is just by mentioning sports bras but not the boys for shirts. Most people, I'm willing to bet, didn't even realize the boys are not allowed to wear shirts, or have to wear shirts, sorry. Thank you for shaking your head, Julian. And I'll be honest, this is just my personal thing. I don't see this as sexualizing girls, as taking away their right, anything like that. At this point, the only thing that I was concerned about with reading this, and I've seen it because my children play sports, are when you have a group where you have your team captain who says, okay, you know what, tomorrow we're gonna all wear our black sports bras and our shorts. I think that our captains and our representatives of our teams, at least, again, moving forward with this when it goes through, need to have more of an understanding of, even if someone's bigger, even if someone is not comfortable with their body, they have to be cognizant of that. That's where I had the issue with all of this, like even just saying sports bras and the whole conversation of sexualizing, because I'll be honest, and this is a very personal thing, as someone who's in recovery for an eating disorder, you cannot just tell someone, oh, you look great, it's fine. It's in them. So that's where my issue is, because I've seen it with the team captains where they're not doing it out of harm, but they're doing it because they're trying to promote teamwork, and it's not the way to do it. If they want to wear them, that's great. I think that maybe they just should be cognizant of that fact. But yeah, because we mentioned sports bras and not men without the shirts, take sports bras out then and let the coaches decide.
Well, I think, like to Nate's point, that we put this language in there, and those are examples. It says, such as, and then that's not an exhaustive list.
No, and
Every single
actually,
thing.
some of these are safety measures, not dress codes. because realistically, it says, once a student is no longer actively participating in such activities, they must continue to comply. Well, business attire isn't something that's not complying with the dress code. So really, that shouldn't even be in there. Protective eyewear and closed-toed shoes, like my son is in CTE, he does construction services. He wears closed-toed shoes, and when he comes back to school, he's still wearing them. It's not a dress code thing, it's a safety thing. So I don't even think that should be in there for dress code. It's safety versus dress code.
I think that's in there for, and understand, when we work on these policies, we're balancing a lot of plates. We're addressing concerns from students, we're addressing concerns from parents. We're also, quite frankly, addressing a lot of concerns from district administrators and staff, who quite frankly expressed to us their concerns about doing anything to the dress policy, because it is so hard to enforce already. So language like you gotta you gotta comply with dress code once you're done with the activity, really is in relation to that. Like, we're not saying that somebody who's already complying with the dress code during an activity then has to like change how he or she or they dress to then recomply with the dress code. We're just saying, once you're done with activity, whether it's sports bras or no shirts or swimsuits, whatever that may not comply with the normal dress code, but complies with the specific activity dress code, then you got to put the t-shirts on, the pants, or whatever they have to do to comply with the dress code. Closed-toed shoes.
This is like verbatim what's in Albany's policy.
Yes,
Very
we looked at Albany's policy.
Yeah, I guess, like, I'm not trying to be difficult or anything like that, and I do agree, if we're going to do this, we need to do it the right way, but I want you to understand also that, again, if you read on Facebook, the Times Union, the comments underneath the article, first of all, the fact that there was even an article on this should tell us something, that it's not being perceived the way you guys think it is.
Well, I mean,
They mentioned sports bra. There was no mention of boys taking off their shirts in the Altamont Enterprise or the Times Union.
Well, I think that's indicative of probably some poor reporting, because we've had discussions about
No,
this.
but it's perception.
I understand perception, but perception isn't reality.
Clothing.
Perception is a reality. I've read those articles. They clearly either did not pay attention to what we discussed in the meetings we had in public, they never came to the policy meeting where we had discussions about it, or they didn't read the policy, period. Like, they pick everybody, it's the news. You're going to sensationalize everything. So they're going to pick out sports bras because that's the sensational. That's what happened in Albany. So that's what's going to happen in Gilman.
Right,
We can't allow the public or the press to decide how we're going to define policy. We got to let everybody in this room, teachers, parents, administrators, us, define policy,
How about your
not the
policy
press.
committee, Nate? Because I brought this up at the policy committee, and Rebecca said that she interpreted it as must-wear clothing. That is what she said at the meeting.
I understand
Sorry to
that.
throw you under.
Yeah, you're not throwing me under the bus. I can speak for myself, though.
Thank you. If it was a question at the policy committee, then why do we let it get this far without being more explicit about?
Because you get explicit, then you start, if you get too explicit, then you start blocking out things that you don't want to block out. So that's why we have the language in there, that if a teacher or student or staff wants to have a specific dress code that maybe not is defined or doesn't have an example in here, they need to bring it to the administration so that the administration can decide, yeah, that's appropriate, you can use that. There's got to be some checks and balances here.
So why don't we take out sports bras?
We can take out all the examples.
We
if you
can,
want.
that was just an example because that was what was brought up.
We're mentioning, talking to the administrators and staff, are they comfortable, like the one, I'm going to bring it up because we're here, staff, preferably those who have a positive relationship with the student, are expected to address dress code violations with students privately, determine if there are factors impacting the student's ability to meet the dress code, and help address these issues. Anyone know of a staff member that wants to meet privately and tell someone they're dressed inappropriately?
No, but that was before this. That was before any of this was
But
added.
the
That
point is,
was-
we're changing the policy. That might want to be pulled.
Yeah, but
Changing the policy,
we're not changing the policy with having to do with staff addressing dress code violations. We were adding this so that there was some flexibility for athletes to make that decision along with their coaches. And it sounds like what we put in here was exactly responding to that request, was that students wanted to be able to make that decision for themselves. And I think the public comment, the first one that was written today, was about heat index, but really it had to do with dress code, right? That they were making that decision based on being comfortable. And so, yes, they talked about the boys removing their shirts when running, but also alluded to the fact that girls can decide to remove their shirts as well when running. I mean, we're not going to, in any of these policies, address every single, like, possibility. That's why it was written there as such as, and those were the examples. And yes, we did look at Albany's policy on this because they have addressed this, I think.
Yeah, they're much
last
clearer.
year.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
well, not,
would adding that males can remove T-shirts mean that we have to take it back to committee and we can't vote tonight?
Yes, I mean, unless there's like a couple of word changes, then we have to go back and then bring it up again. This is what I'm saying, which,
So I don't want to hold up progress, but we're saying here publicly that this, if a coach wants to allow their students to remove their shirts, if Coach Scanlon wants to, what does she have to do? Can she just say it, or does she have to go through a process?
I have a quick
she
suggestion.
is allowed to do that, but then after practice, they have to go back to following the dress code.
it must be shared in advance in writing with building administrator for review. So it
Yeah.
needs to be reviewed first before they allow the students to do so.
Again, there's got to be some checks and balances here, because as Steve alluded to, we can't address every possible scenario
Sure.
for a specific activity dress code.
We're not expecting it,
Yeah, that were
but
brought up were sports bras and going without a shirt, and we conveniently left out the one going without a shirt, where even on the policy committee, we interpreted it differently to one another.
So this says they may wear, not that they shall wear, whether specific attire.
Right.
So may wear is not,
Yeah,
again, it's
no,
not
there's-
shall, it's may.
and not once did I think that it was something that shall, because that's not the point. And I do get the point of the policy, but I'm sorry, everyone interprets it differently. I at least spoke my case. I definitely would not be comfortable as a staff member, even if I had a great relationship with someone. I'm not comfortable with that part being in at all, and nothing like that is in Albany's policy.
I don't know where, so you're talking about language above the only thing we're changing
Yeah.
is specific dress code.
No, I know, I'm just saying in general, I'm not a fan.
That was there
That's a different-
before.
That's a different concern.
Yeah, that's a different concern.
Yep. I'm still it's still part of the policy that we're discussing, so there's
Oh,
nothing
yeah,
that says I
no.
can't
And
discuss it.
that's something we
I'm
didn't.
just saying I'm not comfortable
Well,
with
that's
it.
not, but the point is,
Okay.
that's not the revision to the policy we're discussing.
As long as boys can take off their shirts, motion to approve.
Great.
I mean, right, that was all the clarification, because we've had people from the
Phrase it any way
community
we want,
address
Nate.
that today,
Don't
so
listen.
Yeah.
to make sure that we're providing clarification was the purpose. We can't cover every scenario, but because we've had people come forward specifically addressing that, it was a discussion to have,
Yeah.
to clarify.
I think Blanca moved it. I second.
Well, we already had a motion for it, right? So we were just discussing, so.
Okay, I moved the
Any other
motion.
comments or questions before we can vote on this? So you can just go ahead and vote?
Let's please vote.
Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
I'm sort of, I would be opposed.
Okay, so passes 8-1? Is that correct? Yes, everyone's here? Okay. All right, thank you. So now we will go back up to information items on the agenda, which starts with curriculum and instruction. So I'll turn this over to Rachel.
Good evening. For clarification, Seema, are we on information, because are we on C,
No, we did the
D
consent.
textbooks?
No, we did the whole consent agenda already.
Full consent? Okay.
Yeah, we did
Down to
consent,
7.
so just under information,
Okay,
curriculum, and
okay.
instruction.
Because normally I tell you about the textbooks. I'm going to tell you about the textbooks anyway. How's that? I'll do it all at once.
I think you did, right? That was last time.
No, these are different ones.
Oh,
Yeah, these are different ones. So I think they just got put on the agenda in the wrong spot.
oh.
on the agenda, the wrong spot.
Is that okay? Do you want me to just talk about it now? Or do you
You know,
want
let me
to
just
skip?
look. So they were moved
They're
up
up
to
there,
consent.
I think,
They're up
yeah,
in
I
the
think they
consent.
These were new.
these are new.
So
I
we
think
need
that was
to,
it.
yeah. So
We
yes,
thought we
can
were
you tell us
approving.
about them and make sure when we vote that we'll just specify this includes a textbook that you're talking about? Or we don't need to.
We don't need to vote on
Sorry.
them until December.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, sorry. I think
No,
those got
no.
it put in the wrong spot. So our
No, I
apologies on
appreciate
that
you
one.
telling me that. Thank you.
All right, so the first textbook I have for you this evening is The First Conspiracy, The Secret Plot to Kill George Washington. This is the young readers edition of this book. by Brad Melzer and John Mensch. It's for use in ELA and social studies, grades 7 and up. The other book I do not have a copy of because it is so popular that there are currently no copies in our libraries. So apologize for that. If I can get my hands on it before December, I will bring it. And that one is I Must Betray You by Ruta Sepetis for use in 8th grade and up, also in both social studies and English. And I will be asking for approval of both of those books at the December 5th meeting. I also wanted a correction that I believe Gloria pointed out to me last time, is that we had accidentally, for the book Ground Zero, we had accidentally said the reading level, which was grades 4 through 7, but it's going to be used in 9th grades. That's a really important distinction. Apologies, and thank you, Gloria, for picking up on that. All right, so now information items. I have 2 information items for you this evening. The first is a recognition of some of our musicians. Each year, thousands of student musicians in New York State compete for an opportunity to be selected for the prestigious NYSSMA Conference All-State Music Ensembles. Admission to these highly selective groups is based upon the score received the previous spring during the NYSSMA Solo Evaluation Festival, where each student performed before a certified adjudicator who carefully evaluated every aspect of their performance. The Guilderland Music Department is proud to announce that 3 students were recognized for their exemplary performances, including Brendan Cow, a junior who played bass and also bass and also mixed chorus. Rainey Jin, a senior who is alto mixed chorus. Olivia Petty, a senior, oboe and symphony orchestra. And Hazel Regan, who was here earlier this evening, alto mixed chorus. These talented students will spend 4 days in Rochester rehearsing with other gifted student musicians from across the state, with the event culminating in a concert at Kilbourne Hall at the Eastman School of Music. Additionally, we'd like to commend Natalie Teal, a junior who was chosen as an alternate for cello. So congratulations to all the musicians, their teachers, and parents on their outstanding accomplishments. The second recognition I have tonight is for one of our new high school elective courses called Each One Teach One, which is an elective in the World Language Department. Megan Tidd, who is one of our world language teachers at the high school, is teaching this course for the first time. It is open to juniors and seniors who have achieved their checkpoint B in language assessment, and the course is half about pedagogy and methods and half about actually teaching practicum. So the students learn in the classroom about teaching and teaching methods, and then travel to Pine Bush and teach 4th grade students the language, the target language. So they had their first trip to Pine Bush last week, and Megan was thrilled and sent me this whole slideshow full of pictures, and I asked her to write up that little blurb for you and allow me to share the pictures. So please enjoy.
Great, thank you, Rachel. Next, we have school business information. Dr. Manelstein?
Thank you. I have 2 items to share. The first is our enrollment update for the 2023-24 school year. Each year in October, the state has what is called Beds Day. This is usually the first Wednesday in October, in which school districts collect and report on their enrollment, and this is what helps develop the official enrollment data for the district. These data are used by the state in a number of ways, in state aid projections and other uses, as well as we use them internally for looking at class assignments and trends in enrollment. Our enrollment this year compared to last year is 18 fewer students. This is a decrease of 0.37%. We had projected enrollment for this year at 4,875, and the actual enrollment was 4,836. At the overall level, we saw a decrease at the elementary school ages of 39 students. We saw no change in middle school enrollment, and we saw an increase of 21 students at the high school. My second item is an update on National Grid incentives. As part of our capital project improvements, the district is eligible for energy efficiency incentives through National Grid. They come from improvements like boilers or more efficient lighting. We recently received our first round of incentive payments for this school year, which totaled $18,259. This was for improvements at Westmere, Pine Bush, Linwood, and Guilderland Elementary Schools. We expect to receive one additional round of payments for comparable amounts later in the school year.
Great, thank you, Andrew. Next, we have superintendent information. Dr. Wiles?
Thank you. I just have one information item this evening, and that's to announce that November 1st is our superintendent's conference day for this fall. There will be no school for students that day, but parent-teacher conferences will take place at the elementary schools. And then we'll be offering a wide variety of professional learning opportunities that will be offered for all of our staff who are not involved with parent-teacher conferences. And in conjunction with our Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction, Mrs. Anderson, the middle and high schools have joined together to offer several teacher-led offerings at GHS. Soon we will have the master list of all of those things that I can share with the board. So if you have time and interest, if you want to stop by that day, we would love to welcome you to come and see some of the work that we're doing. Rachel, when will that be pulled together? I know we're close.
We're close on the outline. What won't be active yet is all the links.
Right.
My plan is to get that outline in people's hands by the end of the week.
Okay.
That's the goal.
Okay. That's the plan.
Yeah, that's the plan.
So I will share it soon.
Okay.
And I would also add that we won't be in all buildings that day. So if you're interested in seeing some of the professional development workshops, the afternoon ones are mostly going to be at the high school, and then there will be some opportunities for our TAs and aid monitors at Linwood. So those are the two buildings if you are going to stop by.
Thanks, Dr. Wiles. Next, we have action items, school business. Andrew?
Thank you. I have a number of items for you to consider tonight. The first are 3 service agreements for provision of program and services for students. These cover occupational therapy, consultation, evaluation, counseling, and day treatment and residential programs for children with autism spectrum disorder.
Can I have a motion to approve the service agreements, A through C? Katie, second. Kelly? Any questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Passes 8-0.
Thank you. My next item is a continuation of the Emergency Preparedness Agreement with the Capital District YMCA Guilderland branch to serve as an emergency evacuation site for our district.
Can I have a motion to approve the sheltering agreement? Gloria, second. Judy? Any questions or comments? All in favor? Passes 8-0.
Thank you. My next item is an emergency private transportation contract service serving a family under McKinney-Vento.
Can I have a motion to approve the private transportation contract? Blanca, second. Rebecca? Any questions or comments? All in favor? Passes 8-0.
Thank you. My next item is a private transportation contract for services to and from St. Coleman's School. This would be for Star and Strand Transportation.
Can I have a motion to accept the transportation contract? Gloria, second. Katie? Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Passes 8-0.
Thank you. My next item is a resolution to correct the 2023-24 tax roll. This is regarding a property that had been, should be wholly exempt, but because of previous use was 35% exempt.
Can I have a motion to approve the correction to the tax roll? Kim, second. Rebecca? Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Passes 8-0.
Thank you. The next item is a general fund transfer for funds to cover health insurance costs.
Can I have a motion to approve the general fund transfer? Judy, second. Gloria? Any questions or comments? All in favor? Passes 8-0.
Thank you. The next are 3 donations. One is a music stand from William Grant, one is a flute from Alan Lockwood, and one is a trumpet from Joseph and Aaron Robichaux.
Can I have a motion to approve the donations? Kim, second. Kelly? Any questions or comments? Just thank you for the donations. All in favor? Passes 8-0.
Thank you. My final item is creation of a scholarship. It would be on behalf of Matthew McCabe, a graduate of GHS. The recent death of Brian McCabe, Matthew's father, inspired this possible scholarship that would be entitled the McCabe Family Memorial Scholarship. The criteria for awarding the scholarship would be given to a graduating senior who has an interest in furthering a trade, and the amount will be predicated upon fundraising.
Great, thank you. Can I have a motion to accept the scholarship award? Blanca, second. Rebecca, any questions or comments? All in favor? Passes 8-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Next, Superintendent in action, Dr. Wiles.
Thank you. I have 3 co-curricular clubs up for the board's approval. These are all from the middle school. The Lego Club, the Rubik's Cube Club, and the Harry Potter Fan Club.
Can I have a motion to accept these co-curricular clubs? Kim, second. Kelly, any questions or comments? All in favor? Passes 8-0. Thank you, Dr. Wiles. Next is board president info. There are a set of policies. Can we vote on the rest of them together? A through G minus D? Can I have a motion to accept the group of policies? Blanca? Second, Rebecca. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Passes 8-0. Okay, next we'll move on to board committee reports. We'll start with audit. I think that's Rebecca.
Yep, we have not met since the last meeting, and I'm trying to think of when our next meeting is. I don't, is it November 2nd? It's one I have to
I believe it's November 1st.
November 1st? Something like that.
At like 8 a.m. or something?
I believe
It's
so.
not on the calendar yet. Like,
It's at Farnsworth, I believe, at November 1st, 8 a.m.
Yeah, but it's right. Thanks, Rebecca. Second is communications.
We met and started conversations around how to help the community get more involved in understanding the budget process. And so we talked about, again, going back, moving forward to review the timeline of the different events and process in developing the budget and how we would then match up how to best communicate that to the community. So we're going to review that next time. We also talked a little bit about some of the information that we surveyed from the community when we're developing and how, what information we want to be looking for. So we, really a lot of what we talked about was our next steps and how to get people involved, possibly returning to the library for some events dropped in for people to communicate with board members or to ask questions related to the upcoming budget. So we meet again on November 16th at 3:30, and we will be working through our next step.
Great, thank you, Katie. Next, our business practices.
Well, we have a meeting scheduled. That'll be our first meeting, and it's on November 6th at 3:30.
Okay, great, thank you. Next, we have policy. I know Nate left, but we have not met since the last meeting, and I don't think we scheduled one yet.
it looks like November 8th
We did?
at 5 p.m.
Because Jeff Honeywell will be joining us.
Oh, right. Is that November 14th?
November
No.
8th at 5 o'clock.
Thank you. November 8th at 5 o'clock. Okay.
Can I make a correction?
Sure.
I said 3:30, it's 8 o'clock.
8 a.m.?
Yeah, for the
Okay.
business practices, sorry.
Thanks, Judy. So we just discussed policy DEI. We have a meeting, I think it's next week.
October 25th.
Yes, October.
Is that next week already?
Yes.
Okay. Yep. That's next Wednesday at 7 p.m. So those are all the board committee reports. Do we have any other public comment, Linda?
Don't think so.
No? Okay. Thank you. And then last, board issues, ideas, and sharing. Tim?
Last night, I represented Guilderland for the New York State School Board's annual business meeting. Oh my gosh, it was about 8 hours long. So I think we started at 4, so just shy of 12. I started to doze off at around 11, like back and forth. We had 56 resolutions to go through. So it was very interesting back and forth. Our resolution that was submitted was originally amended to take off it took everything off essentially and just said all students. And that was the argument. The amendment was not passed. So because people said it took away from the resolution. However, our resolution did not pass. I think a big part of it, because I was texting also with other board members from around the state that I know, and they were saying it's just different in a lot of areas. Like, it was very hard to relay that we have a certain amount of slots, because once a lotto is mentioned, they're like, well, you shouldn't have a lotto, or if you do, everyone should be involved. And there were just so many different views from around the state that they just didn't get it, because I kept texting my friend, but we had 17. And it was just, they think it should be an all or nothing. That was the consensus. But it was very interesting. So last year was a little shorter, but yeah, it was good.
That's too bad.
Yeah, it was, we did speak up for it. Like, I did speak to it and tried to push, but it just, so.
Thanks, Kim. Other board issues, ideas, and sharing? Blanca?
Sure thing. I have a question. What goes into lowering the heat index? Is that even under our authority? Is that something that is a board issue?
No.
New York State Public High School sets that.
I wanted it said publicly, so, okay. Second, thank you to the music students the music student who came out, and to all the students that signed the petition. It's actually really impressive. It's a high number of students, so I'm excited about that. Also, just a plug, there will be a Brooks Barbecue chicken sale on October 26th to benefit the Music Parents Association. So I will be handing out chicken if you want to visit me. That would be awesome. And then that's at 5 o'clock on October 26th. And then I would be remiss if I did not mention that we had a Student Voice Committee meeting, and that was my first experience with our new director of DEI, and I thought that it was very successful in terms of providing a safe space for students to speak. I will say that some of the concerns that were brought today by Mrs. Schreiber-Romeo, I hope I'm saying that correctly, were also stated during the meeting. And so I do feel that we need to follow up, address that, do something. If that is a perception that is out there, then I think we need to address that. So that's my.
Just to follow up, Blanca, about the music students, I also was like impressed with the petition that they have, and so I wanted to make sure that I don't know if we can save it or scan it, so when the discussion does come up about the capital project and obviously all the emails that we've gotten about the music space, that, you know, we can make a reference back to them. I don't know if that's possible, Dr. Weil, so we can save the petition somewhere. Okay.
Yeah, thank you to all the in the public who emailed us.
Lots of
we
them,
got
yeah.
lots of people.
Other board issues, ideas, and sharing? Can I have a motion to adjourn? Rebecca, second. Kelly, all in favor?
Aye.
That's 8-0. Thanks, everybody.